An uncharted island.
Let me list all the ways you're gonna die. Rain, heat, disease-carrying flies, and we haven't started on the things that want to eat you alive.
So Kong Skull Island is the latest attempt to bring the story of King Kong to the big screen. First you had the old classic black and white version, then you had the Jeff Bridges, Jessica Lange version, which is the one I grew up with and I personally loved, and most recently you had the Peter Jackson version, which was okay but had its strong points but also its weak points. Now does Kong Skull Island bring something new to the table? Definitely yes. Does it work? Not so much, and we'll get into that. So first of all, let's start with what works in Kong Skull Island. I really love that they made Kong freaking huge this time. I mean, Kong has always been a big giant ape, but in Kong Skull Island, he has just grown like he's on Viagra. He's, you know how on the other films, he's climbing up the Empire State Building. In this film, he's like the Empire State Building. I mean, he's freaking huge, and I love that they brought the scale, they escalated the scale and made him such a huge beast this time. I thought that really worked for the film. And also, tying into that, all of the action scenes with Kong are freaking awesome. I mean, the opening scene where you have all these Vietnam era helicopters, you know, invading the island, dropping bombs all over his house, and Kong just goes nuts and, you know, says, "Get out of my house," and just starts yanking at helicopters, throwing them against each other, throwing trees as missiles into the windshields and whatnot. And so all of the action scenes with Kong is really good. They're filmed in all these wide shots. You can see all of the action going on, and I thought that was done really, really well. Oh, and Sam Jackson's in it too, so that's always a plus. I mean, Sam Jackson's one of those actors that always just elevates his material.
Shit, Negro, that's all you had to say.
He can make really poor material passable, he can make okay material pretty good, and he can make pretty good material excellent. And that's just what he does. I mean, Sam Jackson just brings it again. I love this character in this film, and he's one of the few characters that actually had some kind of purpose in this movie. So that lets me transition into what I didn't like about the film, and that's the characters. I mean, every single character in this film is just disposable, and outside of Sam Jackson and maybe John C. Reilly for a little bit, they're pretty forgettable. I mean, they had absolutely nothing to do, which is a shame because you have some really talented actors in this film. You got Loki, you got the Room Girl, I mean, you got Eazy-E, Dr. Dre from Straight Outta Compton. I mean, you got lots of good actors in this movie, but they have absolutely nothing to do. And Tom Hiddleston is playing who's supposed to be a master tracker, but does he track anything in the film? No, and honestly, how hard is it to track a freaking 500-foot ape anyway? I mean, I'm sure any one of us can do that. Brie Larson, the photographer, she's just there to be a female on the team. I mean, she absolutely has no development whatsoever, and that's one thing I really miss in Kong Skull Island is that in previous films, there was a building up of the relationship between the female lead and Kong himself. There was always that kind of weird, romantic, animalistic kind of bonding thing going on. This film chose not to pursue that story, which is fine. But I did miss that element from the story because that whole element kind of humanizes Kong and makes you sympathize with him, but because this film didn't have that, you end up not really feeling for Kong as much as you could have. And there are a few actually throwaway scenes where Brie Larson does try to connect with Kong, but they're just kind of thrown in there with no particular rhyme or reason, and there's no payoff for it as well. So it feels like it's just kind of fan service to the previous films to have those scenes kind of shoehorned in there where they really have no reason to be there. And I thought that was kind of a wasted opportunity. You had the scientists who are supposed to be geologists or whatever to study the geology of the land. They do absolutely nothing. I mean, they didn't present a single, you know, contributing fact of science to the film whatsoever. So basically you just have all these characters who are just Kong fodder. I mean, they're just waiting for Kong to just kill them off. I mean, and that was a shame because any kind of film that has all of these characters in peril, you want to be able to root for them and care for them and hope that they make it out okay. But in this film, just like Rogue One, for example, I really didn't care or give a shit about any of the characters. And the other thing that kind of bothered me throughout the film was the inconsistency of scale. Kong, like I said, is huger than ever. He's freaking as tall as a tall skyscraper, but I feel like in scene to scene, his size kind of changed depending on the time of day maybe. I don't know, it just felt like in some scenes he was smaller, in some scenes he was bigger. I mean, in the trailer they had a very prominent scene where you see the big Kong bloody hand against the side of the mountain, and then if you think about it, there's no way that Kong's hand could be that huge on the side of that mountain. So I just feel like there was a lot of inconsistency in how big Kong was supposed to be. Maybe in those scenes where Kong was smaller, maybe he just was in the pool and had some shrinkage. I don't know. And finally, I mean, this movie just shoves the music down your throat. I mean, it's set in the 70s Vietnam War era, we get it, but it's like they took every single song from every single Vietnam film and put it in here, and it's like, and the director makes such a prominent point of displaying the music as well. I mean, he shows the speakers, the turntable. So I just felt like the soundtrack, which should be enhancing the film, instead it took me out of the film, and I found it to be really distracting. So Kong Skull Island had some high points. If your main reason to see this film is just to watch Kong just kick ass and other monsters, then this film could be for you. That's when he's actually in the film. I mean, there's a whole big chunk in the middle where you don't even see Kong for a long portion of time. So at that point, the story just kind of comes to a halt. But for me, the movie did lack a lot of depth. I mean, the characters were forgettable. I felt like the soundtrack was forced, and I gotta say that Kong Skull Island gets a 6 out of 10. Thanks so much for watching my movie review. If you like my channel, please give me a subscribe and also give me a thumbs up on this video as well. Thank you.